And welcome back. In honor of Black History Month, the African Diaspora's International Film Festival is thrilled to showcase a dynamic film lineup delving into the diverse history and vibrant cultures of Africa and the global African diaspora. Here now to share more, we've got the director of Mr. Emancipation. I should say it again, Mr. Emancipation. The Walter Perry story. We got Preston Chase with us. And Preston, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Daren.
All righty, for somebody who's not so familiar with the Walter Perry story, tell me.
Well, number one is just like it was a lot of my elders actually told me about this story, right? We had a different type of emancipation. I should start off by social activist and comedian Dick Gregory said that the largest Juneteenth festival was never in America. Mm-hmm. It was in Windsor, Canada. And so so my uncle staged this from 1936 until 1967, which would be deemed the largest Black celebration in North America. So he would have the significance of the event. It's like he would double the population of Windsor, which was 100,000. And I should say Windsor, Ontario is south of Detroit. The Black community, like in the Windsor area that I grew up, it was about an 8-block radius. We are all descendants of like the Underground Railroad and Black United Empire Loyalists. But the Black community provided jobs for those of the Motown generation, and for Black Americans, they flocked from the Midwestern states, but also it allowed like a lot of the who's who of Black America at that time, like Reverend Borders came, Dr. Benjamin Mays came, a young Martin Luther Jr. came, and at the event he got a chance to see his "I Have a Dream" speech in motion as well.
You know, when you talk about where you're located, there in Canada, that's right there on the Canadian border. You've got Michigan right there, which is what you talk about, that influx of people coming from, Canada, Michigan right there. The impact of the emancipation in both the United States and then also in Canada. Share with me that.
Oh, the impact, it was huge. The event itself is, like I said, it's like when a lot of the speakers came over, they were never afraid about being lynched. They were actually just could express themselves as to what was going on in the United States at the time. And we're so interconnected. I liken our community to that, from the Black Panther Wakanda, which is about where we're Canada, because people forget that we've existed. We're the 2% that actually escaped slavery. We still carry on a lot of the traditions we got from slavery, like the type of food we eat, soul food. And this event itself was really like probably the original family reunion. It was just huge. It's like the essence of it. So.
Yeah, and when we tell the Walter Perry story, in the face of racism, there was a lot of racism that he encountered. Give us some history there.
Well, the city actually, just because anything that's effective, I like to call it the Obama effect. You have this, a social structure which doesn't include us, which always tries to actually take over, destroy something. And that's exactly what happened was the event got sabotaged where they burnt down the grandstand. And still to this day, no one knew, or no one knows who actually ended up burning it down. And then for the event itself, they would charge him all the time, even though he was making millions of dollars for the city of Windsor. It didn't matter. They were still going to bring it down. And then what finally destroyed it was the Detroit riots. How a riot in the United States affected Canada, we're still trying to figure that out as well.
Wow. And so if people want to know, this will be a part of a film festival and the African Diaspora International Film Festival. For people who want to check out this movie, how do they go about doing that?
They can actually just go online. It is playing, I believe, the Saturday at 8:30, the 24th. That is part of Columbia University. But yeah, and it's a really it's going to shock a lot of people when you see it. Is because there's just so many individuals from the United States are connected. There are a lot of Motown artists that got their start there as well.
And so for people who really are watching and they're getting an understanding as to some of the history that, from which we came, It is historical to know because we know a lot. Like now, we talk about Galveston, we talk about the Juneteenth celebration taking place out in Galveston, and now subsequently Juneteenth's taking place all across the United States. But I don't think that people really knew that Windsor, Canada, was the site where really the largest Juneteenth was actually being celebrated.
Yeah, well, in that area too, and I bring up in the film, Ebony Magazine wrote in an article, I think it was in the early 70s, and it said the first Black Power town was was North Buxton. My own genealogy, the second battle leading up to the Civil War, I'm a descendant of William Parker, which happened in 1851 during the Christiana riots. Someone's master was killed, and my grandparents, I'll just say, were sent up and stayed with their good friend who was Frederick Douglass. And Frederick Douglass convinced them to actually leave the United States and go to Canada because had they been charged with treason, they would have got killed. You're going to see Spider Jones in there. His family was around during the Nate Turner riots in 1831. Elise Harding Davis, you'll see that she's a historian, white hair. She is a descendant of Robert E. Lee. And one thing I like to tell people is that because we are like the lost tribe, but we represent the 2% that escape, and we're connected to 98% of Black American history easily.
Yeah. And when we talk about Mr. Walter Perry, I mean, obviously, such an impactful, an impactful guy that, and man, I should say, that comes to a place where everybody wants to come up and, be a part of this. And we talked a little bit about earlier about some of the notable names that really wanted to be a part and came through to that area.
Oh, you had Jack Johnson, you had Jesse Owens, you had the Supremes, you had a slew of Motown artists like Martha Reeves. You can go on and on and on and on. What I find, my uncle's story is so compelling is because how many people, it doesn't matter black or white, how many own peacocks? And I explain why I own peacocks. And then also, I found out after completing the film, my uncle was offered 25 honorary doctorates from colleges and universities in the United States, but he turned them down. Why? Is because his younger brother, Uncle Roy, was a dentist, and he felt that 2 Dr. Perrys in our community would cause too much confusion.
Wow. A great story there, and hopefully people will be able to check it out and find out more about the life of Walter Perry. Certainly a great figure when we talk about African-American history. Thank you so much for being with us, Preston, and sharing.
Great, and thank you for having me so much.
Hey,
thank you, Daren.
Thank you. All right, listen, now, if you want more information about the Walter Perry story, you can visit the website, nyadiff.org. Don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up right after this.